But during the investigation, some startling information came to light.
Last winter, the FBI was praised for its speed in cracking the case of the World Trade Center bombing and bringing 4 suspects to trial. Now, there is some evidence that the FBI may have known of the plot in advance through an informant and might even have stopped the bombing that killed 6 people. Correspondent Jacqueline Adams has the story.
FBI agents might have been able to prevent last February's deadly explosion at New York's World Trade Center. They discussed secretly substituting harmless powder for the explosives, but they didn't, according to the FBI's own informant, Imad Salem. Unbeknownst to the FBI at the time, Salem recorded many of his conversations with his handlers.
I'm holding 903 pages of draft transcripts.
William Kunstler represents Sheikh Omar Abdel Rahman and several others charged with conspiring to blow up a series of New York City landmarks 4 months after the World Trade Center bombing. That case has not yet gone to trial. Kunstler confirmed newspaper reports of the Salem transcripts. In one, Salem complains to an FBI agent, "Since the bomb went off, I feel terrible. I feel bad. I feel here is people who don't listen." The agent replies, "Hey, I mean, it wasn't like you didn't try and I didn't try. You can't force people to do the right thing."
There is material in here to show gross governmental misconduct.
Today, attorneys for the defendants in the ongoing World Trade Center bombing case formally asked for the transcripts of Salem's tapes.
Quite frankly, beyond me, why now, the 4th week into the trial, we still don't have these materials.
Prosecutors have refused to comment publicly, but legal experts say the defense may have no right to those transcripts.
It's not a defense to a crime to say, if only the government had stopped me, I wouldn't have done it. So this isn't material that ordinarily the defense would be entitled to.
Notice the media emphasizes that they might have been able to stop it. They then gloss over the fact that the bomb was built by their agent, under FBI supervision, in conjunction with the district attorney.
Youssef fled to Pakistan immediately after the bombing. Ralph Blumenthal of the New York Times reported another story on October 28, 1993.
It was supposedly supposed to be a sting operation where they had an FBI informant find a group of people that were allegedly going to do something harmful in the to the United States, organize them and do a sting operation on them to arrest them. However, that didn't happen. The bomb did go off in the basement of the World Trade Center, and they did arrest these individuals by FBI agents that actually did their job, the field agents, and come to find out that all of them had been on the CIA payroll in Afghanistan.
Mr. Salem secretly recorded hours of his conversations with the law enforcement officers that told him to build the bomb.
However, it was Salem's contention that he had agreed to supply fake explosives to the bombers, and he was overruled by his FBI handlers. Salem, perhaps experienced in the machinations of black ops, had the sense to tape some of his telephone conversations with his FBI handlers.
A newspaper article revealed the existence of the tapes, and the Reuters news agency received written transcripts. A copy of one of the most revealing conversations between Imad Salem and an FBI agent named John was acquired by WBAI. In that conversation, Salem demands more money from the FBI, outlining his contributions to the agency, including a cryptic statement by Salem to the FBI. Salem says, "We know the bombs start to be built by your confidential informant."
Now, even the last 3 weeks is going to be a nice payment. I'm just telling you for the future, and what the expenses, they just don't want to buy in on $500 of expenses. That's all. We're just going to have to give me the, some of the expenses, and they'll pay what operationally they are allowed to pay.
Let me think about it.
Don't think it. There's nothing to think about.
Of course I have to think about it. I mean, I have...
And then later on, there's bonuses and things of that nature. The only thing I'm telling you different than from before is that it's not a salary.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm telling you. That is different than what we were doing anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, let him to go recruit Ahmad Abdu, or let him to go talk to Ahmad Abdul Sattar. Ahmad Sattar, he's a good subject. He can really give you a big help.
Yeah.
Let him really to give you a big help.
Look, he doesn't understand everything.
Well, he have to understand. He is the boss. We all running our heads around this boss. So he gotta understand this point.
But basically nothing has changed. I'm just telling you for my own sake.
Yeah.
That nothing, that this isn't a salary, that it's, but you got paid regularly for good information. I mean, the expenses were a little bit out of the ordinary, and it was really questioned. Don't tell Nancy I told you this.
Well, I have to tell her, of course.
Well, then if you have to, you have to.
Yeah, because, the lady was being honest, and I was being honest, and everything was submitted with a receipt.
Yeah.
And now it's questionable.
It's not questionable. It's like a little out of ordinary.
Okay.
All
right. I don't think it was. If that's what you think, guys, fine. But I don't think that, because we was start already building the bomb, which went off in the World Trade Center. It was built by supervision from the Bureau and the DA, and we was all informed about it, and we know that the bomb start to be built. By who? By your confidential informant. What a wonderful, great case.
Well.
And then he put his head in the sand and said, oh, no, that's not true. He is son of a bitch. Okay, well, it's built with a different way in another place, and that's it.
Well, don't make any risks, I'm just trying to be as honest with you as I can.
Of course, I appreciate that.
And as far as the payments go and everything like that, they're there. I'll guarantee you that they are there.
Hundreds of hours of taped conversations exist between Salem and his FBI handlers, but they were never used in the trials of the bombing conspirators.
According to a source close to the case, Ahmad Salem checked into a Manhattan hospital 3 hours after the blast, complaining of a severe ringing in his ears. A hospital spokesperson refuses to confirm or deny the report.
A man who risked everything to go undercover in a terror organization releasing new recordings showing how the United States may have been able to stop the World Trade Center bombing back in '93. However, Ahmad Salem says that the feds forced him to stop his work when he refused to risk wearing a wire. Just a few months later, the terror cell brought in Ramzi Youssef. He put together the plan to set off a bomb at the World Trade Center, a bomb that killed 6 people and hurt 1,000 more. After, Salem made his recording of a conversation with one of the handlers. But bear with us here, the audio's not great, so listen up.
If we was continuing with what we was doing, this bomb would never go off.
Absolutely, but don't repeat that.
Salem wanted to complain to FBI headquarters about the Bureau's failure to stop the bombing. But Agent John Aktisev persuaded him otherwise, saying, quote, I don't think the New York people would like the things out of the New York offices to go to Washington, D.C. Agent Nancy Floyd verified Ahmad Salem's account. The Independent reported that several of the bombers were trained by the CIA to fight in the Afghan war, and that the CIA admitted partial responsibility for the bombings. Ron Kuby, defense attorney, said concerning the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, quote, the mastermind of the 1993 WTC bombing is the government of the United States. It was a phony government-engineered conspiracy to begin with, and it would never have amounted to anything had the government not planned it.
You would think at this point that it was in part a government conspiracy, but that's not exactly the case when we really look into Mohammed Salome. Following the bombing, police searched an apartment on 34 Kingston Avenue in Jersey City, which was the initial address Salome listed on the rider rental agreement for the van. According to mainstream news sources, the apartment had been rented by a woman identified as Josie Hadass, who turned out to be a Mossad operative who fled. Washington Post Malcolm Gladwell wrote, Salome had provided a telephone number in connection with the rental agreement that was traced to a person named Josie Hadass at a Jersey City address. A search of the Hadass apartment Thursday afternoon had discovered, among other things, a letter addressed to the defendant, Salome, tools and wiring, and manuals concerning antenna, circuitry, and electromagnetic devices. The article stated, a law enforcement officer trained as a bomb technician has examined these materials, and the FBI said, and concluded, that they constitute evidence of a bomb maker at the location. Lastly, a dog trained in the detection of explosives responded positively to a closet space within the apartment. Safar Bungas, editor of Crescent International, a Canadian journal on Islamic politics, confirmed to sources that Ghusi, aka Josie Hadas, was a long-established Mossad operative, and that she had penetrated Islamic circles in New York, as had another intelligence operative, Imad Salem. So what happened to Josie Hadas? On March 8, 1993, the International Herald Tribune quoted a response by the reporter's question about the role of Hadas in the Mossad to FBI spokesman Joe Valquet, who said, "Even if it were true, we wouldn't tell you anyway."